I've witnessed some pretty awful baseball teams in my time as a fan. Some seasons are just simply tougher than others. Franchises find themselves in spots where it's impossible to compete, forcing their fans to endure a season of mediocre play. And for some of these cases, mediocre is putting it quite delicately. Today we're going to discuss a team that, in the current year, is up and coming, with young studs and promising prospects galore. Several years ago, they found themselves on the cusp of a World Series victory, but shortcomings got in their way of glory. But a decade before they approached the highest heights, they were rapidly declining towards the lowest of lows. The team we're discussing today is the Detroit Tigers, and how their 2003 team could have been the worst team ever. Let's dive in. "2003 was Detroit's second year under the guide of Dave Dombrowski. You're going to be hearing a lot about him this video. He knew that rebuilding the team would be a long, arduous process, and because of this, he put basically nothing on the table for the Tigers in 2003, hedging all his bets on future prospects and deadline deals. After all, he inherited a team that had won just 55 games the year prior. The process was far from over. He opted against noteworthy additions, instead leaning into the farm system, which was admittedly thin at the time. Between the end of 2002 and the beginning of 2003, the Tigers shed 4 of their top 5 performers, trading Mark Redmond and ace Jeff Weaver, and non-tendering Robert Fick and Julio Santana. Dombrowski and company knew the Tigers would be bad, I just don't think they realized how bad, especially without these players. For example, the Yankees, Athletics, Red Sox, Twins, White Sox, Blue Jays, Braves, Giants, Marlins, Astros, Phillies, Cubs, and Mariners all were able to win at least 86 games in 2003. Well, why is this important? Well, this means that each of these teams, 12 to be exact, 40% of the league to be exact, were able to double the win total of the 2003 Tigers. Double it. A modern statistic like that probably won't be beaten for a long time. The 2003 Tigers started their season by losing the first 9 games, being outscored 50 runs to 14 in the process. As the season went on, they also displayed records of 1-17 and 3-25 down the stretch. That's not good. They would win just 8 of their 53 series on the year, be shut out 15 times, and rank dead last in the American League in runs scored, hits, OPS, and also lead in strikeouts and errors. They did nothing well. But to be fair, most of their players should have been in the minor leagues still. The 2003 Tigers gave 100 plate appearances to just 3 players who were older than 30 years old. Well, I'm sorry, they were good at one thing. They were actually surprisingly good in one-run games, being 19-18 in such situations. That's over 500. To put it in perspective, that same year, the 101-win Atlanta Braves were 17-25 in those types of games. Their longest winning streak that season was 4 games, and it came early in May, the only month in which they won double-digit games. This came sandwiched between 2 dreadful months of baseball, as the Tigers won 8 games combined in April and June. Okay, we're going in on the Tigers a little bit, so let's talk about their good players. They have, 2 of them. 2 good players. Designated hitter and left fielder Dimitri Young was the one member of the 2003 Tigers to have a truly good year, with a .297 batting average as well as career highs with 29 home runs and a .537 slugging percentage. He'd register his highest single-season OPS plus at 144 as well, en route to an All-Star Game nod, one of just 2 in his 13-year career. According to win shares, the Tigers would have had about 6 fewer wins without him. I don't know the exact science there, but that seems just about right. On the pitching side of things, Jamie Walker was the only competent Tigers pitcher that year. He was the only one to pitch 20 or more innings and keep his ERA below 4.60. His final season line of 65 innings pitched, a 3.32 ERA, and 45 strikeouts doesn't jump off the page really, but it's far and away the best of any pitcher from that 2003 roster. His 1.30 ERA plus was the only mark above average on the team, with second place going to a few different guys who had a mark of 92. He'd remain a part of the team for several more years, including pitching for the AL champion team in 2006, so good for Jamie Walker. Okay, back to the bad stuff. Here are some of the highlights, or I guess lowlights, from the 2003 season. May 2nd, 2003. The Tigers are shut out on just 1 hit by the Tampa Bay Devil Rays. Yeah, this is back when they used to go by the Devil Rays. Pitching for them that game was Joe Kennedy, who finished the season with an ERA of 6.13 over 22 starts. Nice. June 1st, 2003. Roger Clemens faces this horrible team in hopes of getting his 300th career win in front of a home crowd. The Yankees even take a 7-1 lead over Jeremy Bonderman in the 5th inning, but somehow, someway, the Tigers manage to force extra innings. The game goes 17 innings long, with knuckleballer Steve Sparks throwing 7 2/3 innings of great relief. And the Tigers still lost 10-9, so they just burned their bullpen in the process. Very good. August 20th, 2003. R.A. Dickey, who had pitched to a 5.11 ERA in his previous 5 starts, twirls a complete game shutout against the Tigers, walking 1 and striking out 7. He'd have some better career highlights down the line, and I do love Dickey, you should check out my video on him, but the Tigers should not have been shut out by him at this time. His Texas Rangers years weren't great. September 22nd, 2003. The Tigers drop another game by a score of 12-6 to the Kansas City Royals, putting their record at an abysmal 38-118. That's 80 games under 500. They've now lost 16 of their last 17 games, and with 6 games left in the season, they're dangerously close to tying and breaking the all-time worst record in MLB history, set by the inaugural Mets team of 1962, who went 40-120. In front of them were the Twins and Royals, 1st and 3rd in the AL Central respectively, both winning teams. Unless they won 5 of the 6 games, they had a date with infamy. Let's count down their final week. September 23rd, 2003. The Tigers trounced the Royals 15-6 to improve to 39 wins. They're led by Craig Monroe, who goes 3 for 3 with a home run and 3 RBIs. Jeremy Bonderman and his reliever Anderson combined for 4 innings of scoreless relief. September 24th, 2003. The Tigers put up 4 runs in the first, and it's enough to edge the Royals again, this time by a score of 4-3. They're now 40-118. Dimitri Young gets 2 hits and an RBI, and Fernando Rodney locks down a 2-inning save. They win the series against Kansas City, their first series win since the first week of the month. September 25th, 2003. The winning ways continue as they open a series with Minnesota, taking Game 1 5-4. Nate Robertson goes 7 innings, allowing 1 earned run, his best start of the season. After tying it in the 8th at 4, Chris Halter hits a dramatic walk-off solo shot in extras. The Tigers have now won 3 in a row for just the 3rd time this season and are 41-118. But the next day, on September 26th, they lose by the same score. They are now 1 game away from record-setting infamy with only 2 games left to play. September 27th, 2003. In what becomes undoubtedly their best win of the season, the Tigers edged the Twins 9-8 after being down 7-0 in the 5th inning. There's somehow no footage of this game. But riding high from their momentum after a great comeback win, they win their final game of the season the next day and improve to 43-119, putting them 1 game shy of the all-time losing games record in a single season. And with the sweet release of Game 162, the healing of the Detroit Tigers was finally able to begin. And by healing, I mean acquiring guys that should actually be at the major league level. In the offseason, Ivan Rodriguez surprised everyone by signing with the Tigers, and they also brought in Fernando Vina, Jason Johnson, and Rondell White, and traded for Carlos Guillen. This wouldn't make them an instant contender, but it finally made their roster not full of quadruple A players. And the next season, they would improve to 72-90. It's not a great record, but that's a win improvement of nearly 40 games. There were also some major players on that 2003 team that remained key contributors on the World Series squad in 2006. These players include Brandon Inge, Ramon Santiago, Craig Monroe, and Omar Infante. Jeremy Bonderman was also one of their top pitchers, Mike Maroth was still there, and of course Jamie Walker and Fernando Rodney in the bullpen. Losing 119 games is an ugly proposition, but the Tigers did earn the 2nd overall pick in the following year's amateur draft, and that's how Justin Verlander ended up joining the organization. So while you came close to being one of the worst teams ever, the reward of getting one of the best pitchers of our generation is not too shabby. It's funny how the sport works. Anyways, that's the story of how the Tigers could have been the worst team ever in 2003, with a fateful last week turning the tide completely and rewriting history. That's all I got for you guys today. I'm the Jolly Olive for Stark Raving Sports, and I'll see you guys next time.